So as always, greetings from Pennsylvania once again. Got another old church back there, another old cemetery. Yeah, so recently we've been doing a lot of family history, and we're going to continue that in this video. This is in Bethel. Back there's Salem Reformed Church. I think built around 1810 or something like that. Yeah, Bethel is my hometown. It's where I grew up. I didn't grow up in town, but the farm I grew up in was just north of town here. And yeah, it's in the evening. It's 8 o'clock in the evening, and it's finally feeling a little bit cooler. We're going through like a big heat wave. Well, I think the whole world is going through a heat wave right now. But yeah, you saw the title of the video, we're gonna do the Zeller line of the family. I know many years ago, maybe not many, but like 4 years ago, I did the rounds of some of these cemeteries and showed you these, but we're gonna do it again. Part of the family history series, with a couple of changes too. Down there's a look at the old church, Salem Reformed Church. Up that way is town. Up that way is the town of Bethel. You can see the mountain in the background. So you go this way, you can see Round Top itself. There it is, that little hump. That's Round Top. I lived kind of at the base of that. Got the sun setting. That's a beautiful shot right there. Here's the old part of the cemetery. There's one Zeller down there, but up here are most of the Zellers. There's about 4 generations of Zellers buried here in this cemetery. And unlike the Kramer family history, which I did a little while ago, where I had to search for their tombstones, I know where these are, at least a good idea where most of these are, since I searched for them years ago, just after during my college days. I came out here and looked for all. I see a bunch of them right there. So I wanted to like go searching through the whole cemetery to find them. Yeah, I'm staying a little bit closer to home these days, too. Haven't done too many longer road trips. I think in my last couple videos I mentioned that Naomi's check engine light came on. Got that figured out, but she does have to have surgery. Not serious surgery, but her manifold intake valve needs to be replaced. Nothing major, but I don't want it to become something major, so we're going to kind of stay closer to home for a little while until she has her surgery. I'm already seeing a number of Zellers. There's one there, and there's several in the back here. I think those are the ones I need. Or maybe not. Let's take a walk up here. No, these are not the ones I need. I'm probably related to them, but I thought I knew where all these were, but alright, we'll have to look around a little bit more. Okay, so there are more Zellers in here than I remember. There's one there, there's one there, one there. There's a Thomas and a Kate. None of these are the ones I need, though. Alright, but we're gonna head down this way further. I think if my memory serves me correctly, that's where we need to go. It's back down here. Yeah, those are the ones we looked at earlier. Alright, and I was correct. Here we go. There's Robert, and Mary. So here's my sheet of paper. We got 1, 2, forget that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 generations of Zellers on here. Now this is my great-grandfather, Robert Zeller. And this last name should be familiar. When I did that video on Am I Irish, this is the daughter of George Gingrich and Kate Gingrich, or Kate Langle. We had looked her up. My possibly Irish great-great-grandmother on that side. So it does get a little bit confusing. I know when I did the video on my Kramer side of my family, I talked about how my dad was actually raised by his grandparents, and these are my dad's grandparents. He was raised by them, because I mentioned in that video that his mom had him when she was about 16 years old, and how he didn't really even know who his dad was until he was 14 years old. And that was Paul Kramer, and that was the first grave we stopped and visited in that video. I mentioned how I only really met him once and things like that. But so he wasn't raised, his mom's name was Blanche, so he wasn't raised by Paul and Blanche. She was too young, she was still in school and all that kind of stuff. So he was raised by his grandparents, my great-grandparents, Mary and Robert. And so why are we not looking for Blanche Her grave, well, she's still alive. His mom is still alive. I had met her a couple times. Actually, that's kind of sad too, because the first time I ever met her, I didn't even know who she was. There's this woman stopped by the house. My mom's like, I think my dad was there too. Like, this is your grandmother. And I was kind of like, oh, I think I was maybe around 6th or 7th grade. But she did make an Afghan for me, like a big thick blanket. I have it in the Jeep. We'll look at it later in this video. So, and after college, I did visit with her a couple times, and I should do that again. She's still alive. Like I said, she's about 91, 92 years old. So, but I know you might ask, well, why didn't I keep visiting her? Well, I wasn't really close to her to begin with, but then life happened, I guess you could say, things like that. I know I've talked about, at some point my dad left my mom, and I lost the farm, and a lot of hard times came along, so I kind of lost contact with her. So maybe I should, but doing this family history stuff makes me realize that maybe I should go and see some of these people again. But anyway, we'll look at that Afghan later, but yeah. Yeah, so these are the folks who raised my dad, Robert and Mary. Unfortunately, Robert was not really a good man, to be honest. Oftentimes, my dad and his grandmother, Mary, had to leave the house. He would come home drunk and, how should we say, not be the greatest person in the world to be around, put it lightly, and they would have to stay at a hotel in town just to get away from him. So sometimes family history reveals not so nice things you want to hear about family either, but that's kind of the way it is. And I think that's why my dad never drank. I remember my dad never drank alcohol, and I think that's why, because of his childhood experience. And I remember there's all kinds of interesting stories you hear. Like, apparently my great-grandfather here, this is just what I've heard. Of course, in this area, this is the Pennsylvania Dutch area, they have something called powwow, like this, I don't know, medicine doctor, magic stuff that they do. If you can look it up, it's called powwow, put the name here. But apparently, one story goes that my Robert shot a witch out of a tree. She was supposedly making the cattle sick in the area. I was talking about it with my mom today again. Apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, because this would have been back in the 1950s. I'm not sure if you could get away with something like that back then, but who knows? That's kind of one of the stories. I remember hearing even as a child that my great-grandfather shot a witch out of the tree, shot her dead. But I don't know. That's just, might be just a story. But anyway, the things you hear. All right, well, let's look for Robert's father. His name would be Franklin. Actually, his full name is Benjamin Franklin Zeller. So we'll say farewell to Mary and Robert. And Franklin should be just right down here. They kind of go in a diagonal line. He's not too far away from... Well, there's a Roy. Oh, I should look him up. I believe... Oh, how'd that go? I believe he's the brother of Robert. So he's like a great uncle. I need to look this up, because he's a relative. He served in World War II. Sergeant in the U.S. Army. I need to look more into that. There's his little marker. Yeah, we didn't make a video about this. See if I can learn anything about what he did. All right, let's find Franklin, or Benjamin Franklin Zeller. As always, that didn't take too long. Right here he is. Robert and Mary are right up there. Right here he is. Here it just says Frank. His full name was Benjamin Franklin. He was married to Ellen. Her last name was Knapp. There it is, Ellen Knapp. I did find a picture of him online. I'll share that with you in a moment here. Alright, so you saw his picture there, kind of a big mustache dude. I did see other pictures of him. I know my grandmother, like I said, when I visited her a couple times, she had some old pictures. Alright, oh, here's another Zeller. Some more Zellers. A Mammy Zeller. Bessie. Alright, and then Aaron is just down here. His father, Aaron, is just down here somewhere. Okay, there's some more Zellers there. I'm probably related to them too. Jacob and Talila. But, okay, I think Aaron's on this side. Alright, we'll find him here. Alright, here he is with his wife. This looks a little bit newer. Maybe it's not though, but yeah, Aaron Zeller, born in 1823. His wife Rebecca Pfeiffer. Yeah, it's interesting. I showed you that other marker up there, Jacob and Talila. At first I thought those were Frank's parents, but these are, because she would have had him, I did the math, she would have had Franklin when she was 46 years old, which is possible, but that is pushing the age limit there to have children. But so yeah, here's Aaron, Rebecca. I remember I looked up census records one time. He was a carpenter or like a woodworker, and I did find a picture of him too. He looks, I don't know, he's really old. It's a cool picture, so I'll show that to you. Yeah, so he looked pretty awesome. He's got that white beard. They looked tough back then. So I see another Zeller over there. But there is one more Zeller in the line, buried down here in the oldest part of the cemetery. I know last time he was here, his tombstone was broken. So we'll see if anything has been done about that. Yeah, so right there's Aaron and Rebecca, and there's a bunch of Zellers here. Zeller, looks like he died. Looks like an Alice, son of Jacob and Delilah. Lily, a daughter of theirs. There's an infant, and there's another daughter. All died young, fairly young, of those of Jacob and I guess Delilah is how you say her name. Wow, so basically, well, this was 14 years old, so a little bit older. 14, 1 year old, born and died, same day, August 16th, 1887. Daughter Daisy Zeller, 2 years. Guess that's the last one, wow. All right, so we're looking for Jonathan Zeller now, who's down here where the old tombstones are. So like I said, last time I was here, it was broken. Is this it right here? Oh yeah, this is it. Looks like they propped it back up again, sort of. It's in the ground again. That's cool. At least last time it was just kind of leaning up against it. But here's Jonathan Zeller, born in 1799. Died in 1870? What does my sheet say? Yeah, 1876. That would be, yeah, there's a 76 on there too. So there, that's his wife there, Maria Zeller, but her main name is Maria Winters. So they have the really old style tombstones. There's Jonathan. It's good to see they put it back in the ground at least. All right, our light is fading, but we're gonna keep on going. Kind of be out in these graveyards in the evening when it gets a little bit darker. But yeah, so 4 generations of Zellers, all in one cemetery. That makes it nice and easy. All right, but we're gonna head a bit further south to the Topachoken Trinity Church. We were there in one of my recent Union Canal videos. We stopped. I did the intro in one of those in that cemetery, and I showed you the plaque. I think I showed you the next person we're gonna look at, Francis Paul Zeller. He fought in the Revolutionary War. We're gonna head back there again, look at that plaque. He's the only one I have buried in that one. Then we'll head to the oldest of them all, where at least 3 generations perhaps are buried. So let's head down there before we run out too much more light. Oh, I gotta show you that Afghan then too that my grandmother made. I think I'll wait till I get to the other cemetery. So here we are at the next church. This is Topachoken Trinity Church, just east of Myerstown. The newer cemetery is up there, but down here is the older cemetery. We were here not too long ago. We filmed the one Union Canal video, but let me show you that Afghan my grandmother made for me. Here it is in here. You may have seen it in some of my camping videos, but I still use it. So there it is. Yeah, we call them Afghans. They might go by other names. It's like crochet or knitting. I'm not sure which one it is. I'm not an expert on those things, but there it is. All right, yes, like I said, we were here not too long ago. Man, we're running out of daylight, but the last cemetery we need to go is just down the road from here, back the way it came. So let's head in here. Let's see. Get this open. Yeah, we need to head down this way. I know exactly where these grave markers are that we need. Only have 1 generation buried in here. That's Francis Paul Zeller and his wife, Elizabeth, I believe. He fought in the Revolutionary War. You can see a number of Revolutionary War markers here. There's one there, there's one there. This is the graveyard that had the plaque in it to the Zeller family. Now here's another marker that fell down. Not sure how. Looks like the whole thing just... We're trying to set that up as best we can there. Alright. I believe they're up here, because there were several. Oh, where was that again now? Another Revolutionary War Oh, I always feel like I knew exactly where these were, and now I can't. Oh, up here they are, because I remember there was two, yeah, newer stuff in front of it. Yeah, here we go. Also losing daylight. Yep, Franz Paul Zeller, born in 1751. Let's see, he died, yeah. 1821 it'll be if he died. But yeah, Franz Paul Zeller, 1751 to 1821. Revolutionary War Sergeant. Oh man, it's difficult to read in the light here. PA Militia, Berks County, 1776 to 1782. So I gotta look that information up, see if I can learn about where he fought and any battles he was in. And over here's his wife. I was right, Elizabeth. Good grass growing over her grave here. Clean you up a little bit, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Arant Zellers, 1762 to 1819. Wife of Franz Paul. There we go. There's the older tombstones. There are a lot of Revolutionary War markers in this cemetery. This cemetery also has a lot of really kind of creepy looking tombstones in here too. I'll show you the plaque there in a moment. I know we looked at it not too long ago, but we'll take a look at it again. Then we'll get to the other cemetery. We are running out of daylight. Let me just show you a few of the creepy ones out here though. Yeah, like right here's one. It's got the skull. It's got the skull on the top with like the different kind of writing. Just different. In the past I'd filmed here and people gave different ideas of why you had this, like, because it's a lot different than, like right there's a Revolutionary War veteran, the nicer style, and then you have this, kind of creepy. Like he died in 1745. So some older dates. There are some others in here like this, but I think there's one up near the front like this. But anyway, let's take a look at that plaque. Alright, so here it is. And we just looked at this not too long ago. In memory of the Zeller family, who were among the founders of the Trinity Church, the church we just filmed up there. And and buried in this cemetery, Heinrich Zeller. I don't think he's actually buried in this cemetery though. Records show he's elsewhere. Just trying to read it again. And buried in this cemetery. It doesn't necessarily say he was one of the founder. Yeah, born in Germany, in 1679. His wife Anna Maria. Yeah, I think where's John? I think George is the one, or this guy. No, Johannes is the one that is Franz Paul's. This is Franz Paul's dad, and Heinrich is his dad. So, I think that's how it goes. Yeah, died 1805, yeah. So this, Johannes, or John, is Franz Paul's father, which I don't believe is buried. He might be, but I've read that where we're going next is where they're buried, and then his dad is Heinrich Zeller. But that could all get a bit confusing, because the cemetery we head to next is not too far from this one. Because I used to think that they were buried in, there's a church between this one. This is Topachoken Trinity Church. We're headed to Reed's Cemetery, but between those two is another old church, Christ Topachoken Church, which has a really old cemetery too. I used to think that some Zellers were buried there, but my new research I've done since my college days says that the last three generations of Zellers, including Johannes and Heinrich, are buried over at Reed's Cemetery. There are no tombstones here with their names on it, because if there are, it would just be a field stone. And even at the other cemetery, there's no actual named tombstones. It would just be field stones, or maybe nothing at all. Alright, but we're going to quick head over to that other cemetery. It's an oldie, and it's getting dark, so it might get a little creepy over there. But let's get moving. Well, here we are. We barely made it in time. This is Zion's Reed's Lutheran Cemetery. Looks a little bit lighter on camera than what it actually is. It's actually getting kind of dark. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah, it's almost 9 o'clock actually. But we're here. So this is a plaque we looked at some time ago when I was doing one of those Union Canal videos. If we'll be able to read it here in the dark. Yeah, it's another memorial to the Zeller family, to honor the Zeller family in America. You know, I can't really read it anymore. I know we were here earlier. Oh, he mentions that Clotilde de Valois. We'll talk about her later. So yeah, you know, he mentions John Heinrich Zeller there again. Mentions her husband Jacques Zeller, who died on his way over. Yeah. Yeah, I can't really. I'll probably be able to read it when I get home. Oh yeah, and his son John George Zeller. These two were mentioned at the other plaque in the other cemetery. Yes, like I said initially, when I filmed here some years ago, I thought these last three generations of Zellers were buried in another cemetery, but my research they did recently says they're all buried here. I guess you can see me on camera, it's getting dark, but they'd all be down here at this end of the cemetery where the oldest markers are, which a lot of them don't even have names on them anymore. They might not even have had markers back then either, because I don't know that they must be in some kind of church records, because a number of websites, if I could talk correctly, mention them being buried here in this location. Yes, we're parked up along the road up there, if you can even see the road, but there are some older grave markers down this way. There's some more Revolutionary War veterans here. Actually, up in here, some really old ones. And these are old too. You see the old style, but up in there, and all over in here are some older ones. You notice there's a lot of empty spaces too. You know, there's people buried in these empty spaces too. Those might be where, you know, the ancestors I'm looking for are buried. Yeah, no, we can't really read anything anymore. It's just too dark. But even this style here is really old. Some here. Might have to revisit again someday. So if they are buried here, it could be anywhere in here, or maybe even like up here there's another empty spot. So it'd be John George or Johannes or just John Zeller that's buried here. Then his father Heinrich Zeller. And then we'll talk about the parents in a moment. I don't know if it's too dark to read this or not, but yeah, you got we just did a Franz Paul, then there's John Zeller, Johann Heinrich or John Henry, and then Jacques and Clotilde. So these two, I'm pretty sure, are buried in here. I know the other cemetery kind of claims them too, but the records, like I said, show that they're in here somewhere maybe. But if they are buried in here, I don't know exactly where. So we're not going to find a tombstone for them. And there even could be. A lot of times back then they just used, you know, field stones, just an unmarked rock just sticking out of the ground. We've seen those at other cemeteries. There's a few of those here. But over the years, sometimes even some of these other ones, they sink into the ground. So if it was just a stone, over the years it might have sunk into the ground. It might still be here, their markers, or maybe it was just a wooden cross. But this might be where they are. So at least 3 generations of Zellers are in here, well, at least 2. Not sure about the 3rd entirely. But yeah. So we covered possibly 11 generations of Zellers, or at least 10. But yeah, like Franz Paul back to the other cemetery, I would like to learn more about him, where he fought and things like that. And I have some records that maybe Johann Heinrich and a brother of his might have fought in a war too, back in like 1711, when the British were fighting Canada. For some reason, I think I have some records of that they were in a war. That was before we were in a country though. But I'll have to look into that too. Yeah, as far as that lady Clotilde de Valois and her husband Jacques Zeller, I know we talked about her. I talked about her in the first video. I talked about her doing my DNA test results. I got to do more research into her, because I keep finding websites that say that she's completely fabricated. I think I mentioned that before, and yeah, there's really not much information about her. There's really no documentation about her, but yet I keep coming up with websites that have like birth and death dates for her, and where she was, like places where she was born and stuff like that. That she's actually died here and buried in this cemetery. So either she's real, or there's just been a lot of faked information out there about her. So I gotta look more into that. to see if she actually exists or not. It's just kind of difficult. I know other people in the past have done similar research, but we'll do our own. I'm gonna try and dig deep into that, because there's room. I've read that even her husband Jacques is not a real person. The tradition says that he died on the way here, like he died in 1709. They came here in 1709, 1710. We'll talk more about that in future videos. Maybe I should talk about it in this video. Yeah, but they came over during that time. I think I did talk about that in my intro video too, my family history, a little bit about the Zellers, where they came from. So anyway, my next Zeller video will probably be on those two, Jacques and Clotilde, to see what I can learn about them. Alright, but it is getting dark. It's turning around. The sun has set back there, and here we are in this creepy old cemetery. It's kind of interesting. There's houses nearby and stuff there. Yeah, so I did kind of rush through this video a little bit, but it's actually kind of cool filming out here in the evening too. Alright, so just one last look at the old cemetery out here. I guess you can see it. Yeah, so there you go. And this is as far back as I'm going to be able to go, searching for my Zellers here in the United States. Like I said, because Heinrich, he was born over in Europe. And of course, so like I said, I'm not sure about his parents, Jacques and Clotilde, if they exist or if she's actually buried here or not. But regardless, that's where it ends. Any other Zellers going further back are buried back in the homeland. Back in Germany or France, the Rhineland or the Palatinate, they call it. Kind of switched hands over the years. That's it. This cemetery is about as far back as I can go here in the United States for the Zeller family line. Maybe someday we'll hop to sea. That'd be cool. Anyway, I'm gonna get going. I gotta stop at the grocery store on the way home, pick up a few things. Thanks for coming along, and we'll see you on the next one, if I make it out of this cemetery alive.